guys. Shut this thing off here. All right. So, went for a really fun bicycle ride today. It was just me, so I had my single rack on my little $500 Volkswagen Beater. Did awesome, got me to and from. And this was great when I was single, and that's all I did was just go to group bike rides and stuff. But then I had a kid, and then I had two kids. Then we had to step it up because it was my wife and two kids, and they're all riding. So we got the tray style rack. That is the Roadmax by Trimax 4-bike rack, and as you can see, I've backed into a few things with it over the years and done some damage. So I had to do a few makeshift repairs, and it's a little rusty now. But anyway, so then we had our third kid, and things got a little trickier because now we have 5 bikes and don't have enough room on the rack. So with the smaller bike, we were strapping it to the 4th bike on the rack and risking having it fall off on the road. And then I came across this. This is the Velocirax 7. It's a 7 bicycle rack, and it's awesome. And it will hold all the bikes for my crew plus 2. So I'm going to do a review on this today, and we're going to go through an in-depth review of the rack, give you a couple little helpful tips and tricks that I use, and then we're going to do a little torture testing, which should be extra fun. So sit back, enjoy the video, let me know what you think, and I will wrap everything up at the end with my full thoughts on this product. And this is another helpful hint, because sometimes it is hard to line all the holes up, and then you have to move the big heavy rack around to try to get everything in sync. I actually ground down this edge here on the hitch pin, so even if you're off a little bit, it can still find its way in if you tap it gently with a hammer. That's been a great help. So the reason we have the 17mm socket is if you tighten this bolt here, it actually pulls this piece up and offsets it so it tightens inside of the receiver hitch. Another helpful thing, anytime you put any sort of hitch on your truck, you should do a light coat of grease on this part just to prevent corrosion, binding, anything like that. I also put a little line here to indicate exactly where to slide it into to make sliding the pin in easier. And I'll just tighten this up real quick so you can see how it offsets. So as I'm tightening it up, you'll see this. Offset more and more, and that will secure it tightly inside of your hitch receiver. All right, so we're going to put the hitch on. We need a 17mm socket, a hammer, and your pin. I use a locking one to prevent theft, obviously, although with the weight of this thing, I don't think I really need to worry about it. All right, so let's walk on over. And I unfortunately painted myself into a corner a little bit here, parking my car in front of it. But this is where this thing actually loses points a little bit, is the weight and trying to pick it up. Really, it's a two-person job. If you're strong, you can pick it up yourself and get it in. If you're going to install it yourself, always install it in the reclined position. That way you don't accidentally hit your back window with this part up here if you slip. And I only say that because that almost happened to me the first time. So let's see it in action. Let me stretch. So part of the magic is just finding the sweet spot to carry it without going off balance. Once you find that, get it into hole, lift it up and slide it in. Then once it's there, this thing does rest a little loose inside the hitch receiver, so that's why I have the hammer. You'll have to play with it, bang it in to get everything to line up right. And then once you have the pin somewhat in, close it, and you can play with it and get the rest of the way. Go. Again, I really love this rack, but this is a part where it does lose points. All right, so once the pin's in and everything's good, put your ratchet on there, tighten her up. You'll see how it adjusts in the hole once it starts to offset. All right, now that's all set up, that's good and tight in there, and you're good to go. All right, so the first thing that you're going to notice about the rack is that it's really wide, and I'm standing completely centered on a full-size SUV, and you can see it sticks out pretty far off the, especially the driver's side, because the rack is offset. Not a big deal though. It may be an issue if you have a mid-size or compact, especially with the weight. It's 110 pounds, says the website, and my grandmother's old bathroom scale. And which, unfortunately, for the weight you're carrying and the precious cargo, because the cost of your average mountain bike these days is, you know, the low end $1,000 if you want something competitive and upwards. I mean, I have friends with $10,000 bikes, so you could have potentially $70,000 of bicycles on here you don't want going anywhere. So you need the structural integrity. It's all steel construction, and that is the weight, which is the price you have to pay for keeping your equipment safe. So let's get some measurements here for width. We got 32.5. Get on there. And we got 40.5. So 32 plus 40 is 70. Yeah, so 73 inches total width. When I first bought it, it comes with came with some tools and stuff like that. Also came with this bag of rubber bands. I was a little confused about what they're for, and what they're actually for is if you want some extra stability when you're hauling your bikes so they're not bouncing around, you actually put these rubber bands around your brake levers to your handlebars, and that engages the brakes and keeps the bikes from moving. Also came with this bar if you want to bolt it to the wall of your garage, so when you take this thing off, you can set it against the wall. And as you can see, I have a 20-inch bike on here, and what you need is they actually make an adapter for 20-inch. My daughter's 24s fit on here with no problem, but the 20-inch, you're rubbing down here, and I mean, it technically still works. If you want a cheap workaround, a lot of people take a pool noodle and cut it in half and wrap it around. That works too. I'm going to set the phone down for a second here. So pretty easy to get on and off. You have this lever here, which you have to pull down, and if you have all the bikes on there, you have to press again before you're able to pull the lever down. And then with a full rack, the rack actually lowers itself down, but the good thing about being fat, when there's no bikes, you can do it yourself. So easy to load. Pop your bike up into a wheelie, put your crotch on your seat, and pop it up. And these straps actually, let's see, go through the wheel and secure it to the rack, top and bottom all the way through. You always want to load from the driver's side over to the passenger side, and then here is where the rack loses some major points for me. You can see my hands. Aside from probably being carcinogenic, the black stuff that rubs off of the rubber straps onto your hands can also really mess up your light colored interior on your wife's SUV. So I've caught hell for that a few times. So I always keep a set of gloves in the car for whenever I put bikes on and off the rack, so I don't have to deal with this. Wet wipes or hand sanitizer will get it off if you need it. Anyway, so that's that thus far, and there's during this video I'm going to show you some off-label uses that I found for it that are really fun and handy to have, and there's a couple other things that this comes with. So one question that people have, and a question that I had when I bought this, was will the lift gate on your vehicle clear the rack. So as you can see, it clears it with no problems. You have about a 6-inch gap in between the lift gate and the rack, and which is awesome. My only concern would be if I had a pickup truck or an SUV or van with the barn doors, then it might have issues contacting the rack. And which, it's not a deal breaker either way, because they actually have trailer hitch extensions you can put in that will bump your entire rack out about, you know, up to another foot or so, and give you that clearance to open your doors or drop your tailgate. So that's about it. Right now, off the bumper, the first thing you contact would be about 6 3/4. If it left just on top of that, the first thing you contact would be about 10 3/4. So yeah, just one more thing to consider. So funny enough, speaking of random things to do with this, I'm actually using the rubber strap to hold my phone in place on the rack so I can show you guys this. There's a cool feature this has. Now, this pin down here, you just press this in, you push it all the way through, and then pull it out, and that slides out. Then you have this pin that just pulls up, and that takes this mechanism off, which we're going to recline the rack here. I guess you can do that before you pop all this stuff off too. So that pops out there. And this pin can just be held here. Now I'm going to take the phone off and zoom out. It allows you have to pull this lever down again. It allows you to take the rack all the way down. There. And once it's there, you have yourself a bike rack, which is pretty awesome. So, cool, versatile system. I think it cost me about, I got on sale for like 900 some bucks plus shipping. There's a company called Velocirax that makes one of similar design. I don't know that much about it, but one thing I do know, they actually have a carriage that bolts to it, so once you take it off you can wheel it around like inside a garage, which given the weight would be pretty handy. But I'm actually going to show you how I made one on my own with to fit on my hand truck, and that'll be at the end of the video. So just to touch on all the other random uses, you have a home workout gym for the kids. One nice thing, if you're loading and unloading stuff off a roof rack, you have extra foot support and something to grab for balance, which is really nice. I've fallen off my bumper a few times in the past. And then also, like for kayaks on the roof, I can slide my kayak out the back end. And I put it across here. Excuse me, sweetie. I don't need help, Harper. And it turns a two-person job into a one-person job, and you don't scratch the paint. A lot of times when you drag kayaks off the back, you'll scrape back here. Oh, there's sand from the beach raining on me. But you can pull it off like that.
It probably
slide it down. And your two-person job is a one-person job. So a lot of random various uses. It comes in really handy. I'm half tempted to just leave it on even when I don't have bikes. One thing of note though, it does obstruct the license plate, so depending where you live and how cool your cops are, you might get jammed up for, I know I got pulled over in the past with a different bike rack that covered the license plate because I didn't have a bike on it at the time. So just something to keep in mind. Thank you, sweetheart. Cut. This is kind of the rad thing about making this video over a couple months. You can kind of see me going places and using it for real stuff. So like I said, multiple uses. Hung my trash bag from there, got the clothes drying, ran a clothesline off of it, and yeah, all kinds of random cool stuff you can do with it aside from carrying bicycles. And just to go along with the versatility aspect, I just rig up all kinds of weird stuff. So I'll show you what I did for the beach. Built a fishing rod holder, and I just have it so it actually uses the straps from the rack to hold itself in. I just bent these little hangers around to keep it from dropping too much. And then I even was able to strap the folding chair to the back of it. So all kinds of crazy stuff you can do. I'm sure I'll come up with more stuff in the future. So the Velocirax is, aside from its uses as a bike rack, if you get creative, there's many other things you can do with it. So we're at the beach right now, and you can use it as a towel drying rack or a drying rack for your jerseys after a race. Use it to hold our fishing rods. I've actually, camping before, strung a clothesline from that to a tree. You can do it like that if you so please. I always keep a bunch of cordage and rope in my vehicle for random occasions. Also, if you're hot, get yourself a seat. Makes a nice little sun shelter. Get you out of the weather, or throw a tarp over it and make an improv rain shelter. Anyway, bunch of cool stuff you can do with it outside of the specified uses. So I keep a set of rings and straps and a couple resistance bands in the truck, so I can also turn this thing into a home gym, or stretch all kinds of stuff before races. So admittedly, I kind of bit this idea off of the Velocirax model, but I'm pretty sure Velocirax at this moment doesn't make something similar. But they have a carriage for their rack, and it seemed like a really good idea. So I have the tools, I have the materials. Instead of trying to modify a Velocirax or beg Velocirax, I'm just going to make one myself and see how it turns out. So this is the finished product, all welded up and painted, and it works nicely. It holds the bikes without tipping over, and it'll give you a nice, easy way to move the Velocirax around when it's not attached to the vehicle. All right, so it's test drive time. I kind of put the gamut on here. I got everything. I 24s, 26s, 27.5s, and 29s. Plus, I even threw a road bike on there for shiggles. One thing to note, if you have road bikes, when you combine them on the rack with mountain bikes at least, you can only really put it in the on this very far position, because anything back, the curvature of the bars is going to interfere with your other mountain bike handlebars. Just FYI. And we have a good old-fashioned gravel road back here, so I'll see if I can get some better videography. Bike's hanging in there. Flip the camera around. Zoom out a little bit. Ruh-roh. Welcome to the country. So apparently out in my neck of the woods, the gravel roads are smoother than the paved roads for some reason. So let's go find some potholes. bikes out the back window, so we're currently on a pothole hunt, and given that I'm in Southern York County, Pennsylvania, it shouldn't be too hard. Ooh, here comes some. And a speed hump. So as you can see, the bikes stay relatively in place even on rough terrain. I've had this rack long enough, I'm confident enough with it that I wouldn't hesitate to take it on a Jeep trail or something like that if we were doing some more remote mountain biking excursions. There are also the rubber bands that it comes with, and you can put the rubber bands around your brake levers and your handlebars to engage the brakes while it drives, and that can even make the bikes more secure, which is pretty cool. And just on a personal note, I had a friend of mine, actually it's my son's mountain biking team captain. He was driving to a race, and his rack, which is another brand I won't recommend, it's not the same style as that though, but it is a higher end rack, actually failed and dropped his $5,000 mountain bike on the highway on Interstate 83, and it got ran over by a tractor trailer. So another thing about the Velocirax, I am confident that something like that, a catastrophic failure, would never happen with this design. So I'm really glad we got to film this video over the course of a year, because it gave me a lot of time to figure out all the pros and cons, the ins and outs, and all that fun stuff, and give a pretty comprehensive review of everything once I've had time to test it. You know, going to races, fully loaded, going on vacations, all that kind of stuff. You know, going off-road with it, with the vehicle, obviously. You know, hitting a lot of bumps, accidentally back into someone with bikes one time. That wasn't cool, but luckily no damage was done other than scuff on someone's hood. Anyway, yeah, then that's another issue, obviously, with any large object on the back of your vehicle obscuring your mirrors and rear view camera. You're gonna have some trouble seeing, so just be careful with it. That the size is unavoidable. The weight is just an investment in structural integrity to protect your bikes. So I have no problem with the weight, although it is cumbersome and a lot easier with two people. But you know, like I said, I'm okay with that. We lose points for basically for the straps. That's my biggest issue. If they could, if anybody from Velocirax is watching this, if you could make a strap that doesn't over time start rubbing off residue on your hands, that would be awesome. I would buy them in a heartbeat and replace the ones that are on there. As far as assembly out of the box, it was straightforward. If you're mechanically inclined, it's not a big deal. You just need a socket set and a adjustable crescent wrench. It would be cool if they did what the JB Racks did and built a carriage system for it, so you can take it on and off a little easier when you're by yourself. But like, you know, it's big, it's cumbersome, but for a 7-bike rack, you're not going to find anything better on the market. The question is, would I buy this rack again? And the answer is absolutely, 100%. It served me well. It's awesome. I feel confident that nothing's going to happen to my bikes when they're on the back. I would invest. I have 2 cable locks that I run through when I have, you know, have it fully loaded just to keep people from stealing it. And luckily nobody's tried that yet, because I also keep a 9mm on my hip because I'm a country boy. Anyway, but yeah, if you're anything, if you need a 5-bike rack or a 7-bike rack, I would absolutely pull the trigger and make this investment. Totally worth it. And for the 7-bike rack, it's awesome because I have 7 seats in this vehicle, and I can load up all my buddies and go racing for the day. And it takes all our bikes. We can do it all, you know, save fuel, save the environment, you know, carpool. It's awesome. Even on vacations, we'll take, the 5 of us will take our, you know, mountain bikes, and then we go, the kids and I race BMX too, so we have cruisers that are 24-inch, so I'll throw the cruisers on there so I don't have to modify the cradle for a 20-inch bike. But yeah, it's met all my needs and then some. Totally awesome. 100% recommend. As like anything less, if you're looking for a 4-bike rack or less, I would go for the tray style rack or something similar. Just because it's lighter, it's easier to move around, a little more, you know, easier to store, all that good stuff. But for 5 and 7 bike racks, this is absolutely where it's at. Would totally buy again. And like I said, I love the structural integrity. I love how beefy it is. Also looks pretty damn cool. It gets a lot of compliments. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I hope it was helpful. And y'all have a blessed day. Stay safe and happy trails.